we hear the president and Pete Hegseth speak of destruction, destruction. There's been a lot of physical destruction, but there's been almost zero destruction of meaningful strategic capabilities of Iran. Iran always went into this conflict knowing that its ballistic missile and drone capabilities would serve as the foundation of their military response. So for Pete Hegseth, the president, to redefine this war as based upon Iran's naval prowess, as if the Iranian Navy ever, positioned or postured itself to be a competitor of the United States Navy, or as an air power. No, Iran never said that it was either of those. What Iran said, and I was told by the Iranian president in person, together with the foreign minister last September, that Iran's strategic deterrence comes from their conventional ballistic missile capabilities.
Yep. That I was hearing all last year, if you was paying attention to geopolitics last year, you were hearing how Iran was making all types of technological advances on their ballistic missiles program, and how now their output of ballistic missiles have reached about 300 a month. While over here in America, I think we're doing like 600-700 a year. A year, yes. While Iran's out here doing 300 a month, we're doing about at most 700 a year. Tough. And like I keep saying, the real threat of Iran was never their Navy. It was never their Air Force. It was the advancements of their ballistic missiles. I mean, think about it. They have like 2 hypersonic missiles, 2 different ones.
This is, how they postured themselves, and this is how they would hopefully deter somebody from attacking them. But if somebody attacked, to punish the attackers. Deterrence doesn't work unless people know and understand that there will be a consequence for your actions. There are many people who believe that the Iranian missile and drone.
Guys, and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you've been watching for a while now. I know most of you guys are unsubscribed, so you can end the pattern today by subscribing, because you've been watching longer than a week. I had the analytics, but you can go ahead and tap that icon up there to subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to double tap that screen and like the video.
Capabilities were overhyped, that Iran lacked the political will to follow through. Not anymore. Now we know that Iran has the ability, the wherewithal to employ these weapons, employ them effectively. They hammered the United States military installations in the region. They punished the state of Israel, and they send a clear signal to the Gulf Arab states that the totality of their infrastructure is at risk should they continue to support the United States in this illegal war of aggression. So Iran holds literally all the cards. They have not been defeated at all, not even close. They're getting in fact, they were getting stronger as the war went on, because their underground missile factories started kicking in, and not only were they launching missiles, they were producing missiles. It's underground missile production capability that's immune to anything the United States does overhead. Here we have the president threatening, the potential resumption of military force. I, again, want to point the following facts out. There's nothing left to bomb. Everything's underground, and we can't destroy that. Anything that's above ground has zero military value. If it was of military value, we would have struck it already. So we will simply be bombing buildings.
AKA, we're bragging about bombing missile launcher systems that were already used and that they just left there.
Probably buildings affiliated with civilians. But no matter what, if you think at this juncture, more than 40 days into this conflict, that Iran has left anything of value in a building inside their nation, I have a bridge in Brooklyn I'd like to sell you. There's nothing in Iran to bomb. So these threats of the president that he's going to blow things up and obliterate Iran, it's just bluster.
And by the way, I'm sorry, I want to interrupt here. Just this image, the video that Gary's showing you here. This shows how these underground bunkers or missile cities are specifically designed to survive an atomic blast. Even that is not going to take them out. I just want to reinforce that.
Hold on.
I want to interrupt here.
It's just bluster. And
by the way,
let me see if I can find the separate video for this, because I've been looking for a video that actually describes this whole missile factory idea that they were talking about, and I had somebody explain it to me on Twitter, one of the Iranian guys, and yeah, I was like, all right, it sounds cool, but bro, how does that even look? Like, y'all got underground places where you can fire missiles? I mean, that's badass, but I'm just like, bro, how the fuck are we gonna hit those? But all right, though, let's get into it, guys. I actually found a video on it. Surprise, surprise. Right off the first search. All right.
Hello, friends. Ever wondered what is hiding beneath Iran's Rocky Mountains? Strange and formidable cities dug 500 meters deep into the earth, a place where thousands of ballistic missiles are ready to fire at enemies. Today, we're going to travel into the heart of these secret tunnels. The story of these missile cities is not a Hollywood sci-fi movie. Iran has taken its defense strategy underground for many years now. They have riddled the Zagros and Alborz mountains like Swiss cheese. The goal is to ensure no bomber or satellite can ever find them. The world was first shocked by these images back in...
Oh, guys, if you want to help get the call-in line open sooner, you can go ahead and send a Venmo in. Anything you send through Venmo doubles the support. So if you send $2, it equals $4, $5 equals 10, and so on. So if you want to go ahead and help towards the call-in, go ahead and support on Venmo as well.
2015, General Hajizadeh appeared on TV and unveiled the depths of the earth. Images showed long concrete tunnels filled with giant missiles standing ready. This unveiling sent a clear message: we are armed even underground. These tunnels are not simple storage units, but complete military garrisons. Ventilation systems, emergency power, and soldier living quarters are all built in. Imagine a city that survives for months without needing the outside. This means even if there is war above, life flows below. The scary part of the story is the astonishing depth of facilities. It is said that some of these cities are dug 500 meters deep. This means the safest shelter against American and Israeli heavy bunker busters. Thick layers of rock and reinforced concrete are the main guardians here. Let's take a more technical and precise look at the underground structure. Missiles are parked one after another on special trucks and mobile launchers. This arrangement allows the firing speed to increase in a strange way. Basically, like a Kalashnikov magazine, the missiles are lined up in rows. Various types of long-range and medium-range ballistic missiles are stored in these cities, from the older Shahab 3 missiles to the precise Imad and Sijil. Each of these can...
Oh, yeah, and shout out to my man Noah Join. He says, news other than the war. Appreciate that. He says, Artemis 2 has landed. Yes, they made a safe landing. They named a crater on the moon after one of the astronauts' head's wives. I mean, all right, that's nice. Yeah, it was nice to see. A lot of people are still saying space isn't real, though. I know, bro. No, you got to understand. They were supposed to land on the moon, bro. If they was to land on the moon, we could shut all these flat earthers up. But now we're still going to hear from them. Now they got even more of a point because they're just going to be like, well, why didn't you land on the moon? We didn't really go on space. Oh, that's CGI now. And now they got a reasonable point here. So why didn't we just land on the moon to shut these guys up that F up forever? We had bro, Noah, we lost our chance, man. We lost our chance. They need to do it again. And this time they need to land on that goddamn moon, okay? I don't want nothing, bro. Nothing less than that. Landing on the moon. Boots on the moon. Instead of boots on Iran, we need boots on the moon.
And hit a point thousands of kilometers far away. Missile diversity in these warehouses gives commanders a completely free hand to act. One of the IRGC engineering masterpieces here is the missile rail system. They have mounted missiles like train wagons on special underground tracks. This missile train allows the movement of munitions to happen very quickly. There is no need for hard trailer maneuvers in tight tunnel spaces. But the big question is, how are missiles fired from the mountain? There are launch silos with huge hatches opening right on the peaks. The missile is placed vertically under the hatch and fires suddenly. After firing, the hatch closes quickly so the location is not exposed.
What?
A new system unveiled recently is called the Missile Machine Gun, or Barrage. This system allows them to fire several ballistic missiles one after another.
Hey,
Previously, they had to wait for launchers to reload, but not anymore. This volume of continuous fire can confuse any air defense system worldwide. The walls of these cities are made of very special resistant concrete.
That's the reason why they're striking in Israel so easily. One, I mean, the mountains are closer to Israel, and two, they're firing off a machine gun. They're firing off these missiles machine gun style, or as close to machine gun style as you can get, which is like 3, I guess.
Reverse engineering and local knowledge have made the structures earthquake-proof. The pressure of millions of tons of soil and rock is serious, but Iranian engineers have managed to keep these spaces stable for years. It is not just about missiles. Underground drone cities have been added too. Army Base 313 is one of these secret hideouts for unmanned birds. Drones exit the tunnel, perform operations, and return deep underground again. The combination of missiles and drones underground has become an enemy nightmare. These cities are scattered across the entire geography of Iran, north to south. Dispersion ensures that the enemy cannot destroy everything with a single attack. If a base in the west is hit, the east responds hard. This is the guarantee of survival strategy in Iranian military doctrine. You might ask, why has Iran spent so much digging up mountains? The answer is simple. Iran's air force is slightly weaker than the West's, so they compensated for the weakness in fighter.
No. It's dramatically weaker than ours in the West. Like I said, bro, they got planes from the 70s, aircrafts from the 70s, guys. Trust me, dramatically weaker.
Jets with hidden missiles. This asymmetric strategy shifted the balance of terror in the Middle East. In these videos, we always see missiles fueled up and ready. Using solid fuel in new missiles like Sijil and Khaybar Shikan is key. Solid-fueled missiles can remain in the tunnel ready to fire for years. This means Iran's reaction time to an attack is just a few minutes. The interesting point is that no electronic signal ever leaves these cities. Communications are conducted through secure fiber optic cables buried under the ground. This means signal espionage and listening to their conversations is almost impossible. Complete radio silence is maintained until the moment the fire order is issued. Let's talk a bit about the psychology and media impact of this. Publishing images of these cities is considered a heavy psychological operation itself. Iran puts fear into the enemy's heart without firing a single bullet. The message is, we are everywhere and you cannot see us at all. Besides mountains, the IRGC has also built coastal missile cities near water. These tunnels on the edge of the Persian Gulf open directly to the sea. Anti-ship cruise missiles are aimed at warships from the heart of rocks. This means complete and invisible dominance over the Strait of Hormuz. Western experts admit they do not have a precise map of these cities. Satellites can only identify suspicious entrances, not the path of the tunnels. This uncertainty is the biggest challenge for American and Israeli war planners. They don't know exactly where on the mountain to drop the bomb. The sheer volume of missiles stockpiled in these cities is truly strange. According to estimates, thousands of missiles are hidden in dozens of cities. This high number allows Iran to manage a very long, drawn-out war. Even if besieged, they have enough ammunition to fight for many months. The technology to build these tunnels was localized by Khatam al-Anbiya headquarters. They use massive TBM drilling machines to speed up the work significantly. The experience of building metros and road tunnels has helped military industries. This is a strange synergy between civil engineering and the engineering of war. There are also assembly and repair sections located inside these underground cities, meaning parts enter separately and are assembled right there under the ground. This reduces the risk of moving complete giant missiles on open roads. Practically, the production factory and the storage warehouse are merged in one place. Friends, the existence of these cities has completely complicated the deterrence equations. The enemy knows a first strike cannot destroy Iran's missile capability because most of the arsenal remains untouched in the safe depth of Earth, and Iran
Oh yeah, appreciate that. What I was pretty much saying was that, yeah, as you see, bro, these underground, like one, we don't know where they're at. Two, they're deeper than we know. So we can have all the underground bunker busters we want, and they still got cities deeper than what that can reach. And now that I'm seeing this, I mean, did we fully destroy Mount Fordo, or did we just destroy level 1 of Mount Fordo?
Response or second strike will be very destructive and painful. The future of these underground cities will likely be more complex and smarter. Using artificial intelligence to manage launches is not far from the mind. We might see tunnels that are connected to each other in the future, a massive spider web underneath Iran that has...
Shoot, man, they might already got that already. All right, guys, let's not forget to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel while you're at it by hitting the icon above and hitting subscribe. Appreciate the support, guys. Let's keep it going right back to our guys, Scott Ritter and Colonel Daniel Davis. Man, I had to take that little detour because I've been hearing about it too long and I have not done enough research
into this conflict that Iran has left anything of value in a building inside, inside their nation. I have a bridge in Brooklyn I'd like to sell you. There's nothing in Iran to bomb. So these threats of the president that he's going to blow things up and obliterate Iran, it's just bluster.
And by the way, I'm sorry, I want to interrupt you just a second. This image, the video that Gary's showing you here, this shows how these underground bunkers or missile cities are specifically designed to survive an atomic blast. Even that is not going to take them out. I just want to reinforce that.
Yeah, look, the Iranians are some of the smartest people in the world, and they've been studying how the United States fights for more than 2 decades now, and they have prepared themselves to not only survive, but to thrive, to prevail. And they were winning. It was not the Iranians that sought the ceasefire bringing it in. It was the United States. In fact, Iran was going to reject any effort at a ceasefire because they just simply don't trust the United States when China pressured them. And China said it's imperative that, we bring this conflict to an end because it's impacting our economy. But the Iranians aren't the ones saying, please, 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 let's bring this to an end. They would like to see the war end. They would like to see the sanctions lifted. They would like to see their economy function smoothly. But they're willing to see this to the bitter end. They believe in what they're doing. They, the people of Iran were actually quite angry when the ceasefire happened and the negotiating team went to Islamabad. They were in the streets saying, no peace with America, no peace with Israel. And again, some people say, well, wow, that's pretty harsh. They're very violent people. No, they didn't start this war. We attacked them in an event that makes Pearl Harbor pale in comparison. We assassinated their supreme leader. And in the process, we carried out attacks that included a school where we killed 175 innocent civilians. 160 odd of them were innocent girls between the age of 6 and 12. This is what we did, and this is what we're doing. This president is
what they remember too.
I mean, I have trouble coming up with words that I can say in civil company. But this president.
Let me ask you something, Scott, on that point you just raised up here, because I wonder if you can draw some analogies maybe to help our audience understand the impact of this. You mentioned that issue with the schoolgirls getting killed. When the negotiating team flew to Islamabad, they had some artifacts from that time. They had some photographs and some backpacks and shoes and other stuff on board one of the aircraft that were going on there. How important is this? Is this something like it used to be in the U.S., the remember the Alamo and all that? There's something, this rallying cry. Is anything similar to that going on with the Iranian side?
Oh, this has become one of the defining moments of this conflict. The murder, the assassination of Ali Khamenei is one. The supreme leader who was at home. I mean, it doesn't take an intelligence, specialist to track him down. He was at home with his 14-month-old granddaughter when he was murdered in a surprise attack, an act of perfidy. That same morning, a cruise missile struck a school in Manab in Iran along the southern coast. The missile that struck, didn't kill everybody, but it caused some damage. The principal and the surviving teachers rallied the surviving children, and brought them in and took them to the safest place they knew. You know how when you have a tornado In the Midwest, there's the basement, or there's the gymnasium that's deemed to be a safe place. This was the prayer hall. It was the most strongly built portion of the building. They brought the surviving children in and huddled them in while their parents were being called to come and get them. We had another cruise missile flying overhead. These are advanced Block 4 cruise missiles that have retargeting capability. On board, they have a camera that's capturing imagery and broadcasting the imagery back to the command center on the ship, in this case, the USS Vincennes. No, I'm sorry, not the Vincennes. The Vincennes is the one that shot down an airplane and killed 290 people. I'll get the name of the ship in a minute. But the guys on the ship were looking at these images, and they saw humans clustering in. The imagery is of enough resolution that they could see the painted flowers and the painted playgrounds on the ground. So they knew this was a school. And yet, as the people congregated in, that missile was sent out, redirected, and reattacked, and killed everybody in that building. All the women, the principal died holding children in her arms. Teachers were killed shielding their students from the harm brought by the United States. This was a deliberate act of murder, and the Iranians have identified the commanding officer and the executive officer of the ship involved, and they're calling them out as war criminals, saying these are the guys responsible for murder. This is a big deal. This is a huge deal. This is remember the Alamo. This is, any rallying cry you have. And these are the most innocent. When you go and look at the stories, I mean, the Iranians aren't playing propaganda here. I mean, there's a lot of Americans, and they disgust me, but every one of those girls there had a backstory. Every one of the children killed there. These were kids with a life. And Iran is a modern nation state. This is not, we hear these people talking about these savages. The president of the United States calls them savages. These girls had more culture and more education than the president would ever have. They have more in their pinky. These are girls who are training to be gymnasts, training to be doctors. They had visions of being lawyers to help their families. One of the girls was in a contest where she would memorize passages from the Quran, and she was 2 weeks away from going to Tehran, the capital city, to enter into a major competition where if she won, it would get her on a pathway where she could be a journalist and do broadcast television. These are the people we killed. We, America, killed them. Our weapons, directed by our officers, taking orders from our leadership. And the Iranians have made this a rallying cry. It disgusts them. It enrages them. And yet they sit there and they have they're just poo-pooed by American negotiators who, frankly speaking, J.D. Vance wasn't there to negotiate a successful.
I'm gonna be real with you. When we bombed that little girl's school, I swear to God, it was sick, because instead of people having that pause, there'd be people that was either one, trying to say it was Iran, which it was proven that it wasn't. Two, try to say, oh, casualty of war. And I'm like, you're right. But I mean, this is why we need to take that type of pause. We just bombed a whole bunch of little girls who had nothing to do with this. And we got people over here either trying to make excuses for it or trying to just lie about it. And like, come on now, that was wrong. And those people who was lying about it has not came out and changed their narrative. They still sit there and believe that it was Iran who bombed that school when it was proven to be us. Yes, even CENTCOM came out and said it was us.
Outcome. J.D. Vance was there to prolong a deliberate attempt by the United States.
Here's the thing, though. You can't pretend to care about Epstein when you sat there and said, gave the thumbs up to a whole bunch of little girls being blown up. I'm sorry, but you just can no longer claim you care. You can't claim you care about little girls when you're okay with little girls being bombed. I'm sorry. You just lost that.
It's to reframe what was going on.
Guess what? It was most likely a mistake. It was mainly bad intelligence. But here's the problem. There was some people who was literally, one, in support of the school being bombed. Two, didn't want to accept that it was America that bombed the school. They was trying to put it on Iran, saying that they would kill little girls, they would kill their own. And y'all were completely wrong and did not walk that back, not one bit.
On is Iranian desperation. The Iranians weren't desperate. They came very well prepared to have an agreement. They had done their research. They had experts. They had the research papers. They had the facts. They had everything. We came with Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff and J.D. Vance and nothing. Yeah, 300 people showed up with nothing, zero. We didn't come in and say, here's our position. Here's what we want. This is how we think. They said, hey, we'll see what you got. No, we reject it, and they walked away. Why? Why are we doing this? I think it's a game being played by the president because remember, let me make this point too. if we're evaluating what's going on right now from a geopolitical perspective, from a military analytical perspective, from an economic perspective, you're doing it all wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, the only perspective that matters when talking about this conflict is the perspective of Donald Trump's ego.
Yep.
That's all this is about. This is about Donald.
I mean, bro, if you're not talking about it within that lens, people attack you. If you're not over here saying that, well, we're winning this war because we destroyed their navy and their air force, which is old and is not their main weapon, then you're seeing as being pro-Iranian. When no, you're just telling the truth of what's going on in the Middle East with this war. And the funny thing is, people are doubting two guys who served in the military. An ex-colonel and an ex-Marine. Yes, Scott Ritter is an ex-Marine and ex-UN weapons inspector. Who the fuck are you? Thought so.
Donald Trump very concerned that his brand, his legacy is being tarnished, perhaps irreparably and fatally, if he can't survive the midterm elections. That's the end of his political legacy. And for a narcissist.
Oh, man, shout out to my man Chad. He says, reason to resist. All right, most likely a YouTuber or something. Went to Menard school after the attack. You should watch his vid sometimes. All right, most definitely will. Because, like I said, and the thing is, you know what's crazy? I called it out on the first day that, it's looking like we bombed this school just on the common sense of it. Because remember, like when this war popped off, I was live. And I was giving y'all the full report. And when that school got bombed, I was like, this is looking like us. And I remember everybody was losing their shit going, how could you say it was us? It's so un-American, damn near crying over it. And when it get proven to be true, now what? Now what? Do y'all want to walk that back and say, Sen, my bad for tripping on you? Or are you just going to double down and say that I'm un-American, I'm rooting for Iran? It's like, no, I'm not rooting for Iran. I'm just telling y'all what's going on that the news won't tell you. And so are these guys. For some reason, you don't appreciate that. You'd rather be lied to, which is fine. I mean, you can go to channels that'll do that for you, but you ain't going to find it here.
Just like Trump, to see everything he has built collapse like this and failure is unacceptable. So he needs to deflect responsibility for the failure, his failure in this conflict, onto the shoulders of others. And I think J.D. Vance was thrown out there as a sacrificial lamb. J.D. Vance led the initial team with Witkoff and Kushner. And when the story's finally written, it's going to be Vance was unable to close the deal. Donald Trump, was able to come in and get a deal. I don't think we're going to go on to a next phase of bombing. I could be wrong. I mean, of course, anything can happen. It's a very dangerous situation right now. And as I said, a blockade is an act of war. But the military knows that. What are we going to do? Bomb what? What targets do you want bombed? Because from now on, it becomes a literal, without any debate, war crime, because we'll be bombing civilians, collective punishment, what we're doing. That is a war crime. There's no.
And according to the Iran's Red Crescent, already like 81,000 to 100,000 civilian homes and infrastructure has already been bombed. Already. And then some has actually received shrapnel that's from bombings. Like we blew up a communication center across the street from a hospital, and the hospital sustained heavy damage. Luckily, the building didn't go down. I guarantee you, though, every glass in that hospital broke. So, there was that.
Legitimate military activity to attack. And we can't do it. We're out of weapons, out of precision strike weapons. We're out of ballistic missile defense. So the same situation, the deficiencies and failures that led us to seek a ceasefire are not going to be cured. Iran is stronger. Iran is better. We'll just repeat this scenario. So I don't believe we're going to move into the next phase. I think what we're seeing right now is a lot of political jockeying as Donald Trump seeks desperately to find the perfect sequence of events that allows him to slip in, be the one to negotiate a deal and declare victory and say, I'm the man that did it.
He may have that intention, but evidence is starting to accrue that there has been some pretty profound miscalculations up to this point, which does not give any optimism for how this is going to get resolved anytime near term. And I'd like your view on this. So I think that it's pretty clear now that the initial going in process is that there was this belief among President Trump, which was fed to him by both Israeli and American officials on the inside, that this is going to be something quick. It's going to be like Venezuela. Instead of snatching Maduro, we're going to assassinate Ali Khamenei, and then the other people will be more reasonable, and then they'll talk and they'll give us what we want. We'll take their oil. 2 thumbs up. It's a big victory. That didn't happen. Now all of a sudden there's, oh snap, what do we do now? And then they had to figure out a war plan on the fly. Clearly was not resourced. And they bring another aircraft carrier in. They bring some troops in later. It's just totally disjointed. It appears that there's some evidence that in this negotiation here, he may have meant what you suggested there. He also may have had some idea that because I'm threatening that I'm going to get a submission into what we want here. But now that has failed. And in this soundbite we just showed you, they asked President Trump, what's the play now? Do you think that they're going to come back and you use this as leverage? And you can see in his mind, he's like, sure. Yeah, that sounds good. I read that as, I have no idea what we're going to do next. I guess we got to figure that on the fly. Do you see any possibility that President Trump literally has no idea what to do next?
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that he has no idea what to do next. That everything that's going on right now is to buy time. As he desperately looks for something. This is why I've always said that I think it's the Russians will save the day, because I think the Russians and the Chinese, have a clear vision of what needs to be done to bring an end to this conflict, but also how to balance the needs, wants, and desires of all parties involved, so that you get an equitable outcome. And for Iran, the equitable outcome would be, being allowed to continue to enrich, not to a nuclear bomb, but enrich for a peaceful nuclear program. That is their lawful right. And also the Strait of Hormuz. Iran, may not. The way this could be negotiated is that Iran doesn't get permanent control of the Strait of Hormuz, but because this war was thrust upon them by the United States, Israel, and the Gulf Arab states, that Iran has an inherent right now to seize control and, put out a toll to raise money that could be used for reconstruction. I think this is a legitimate thing. It doesn't violate international law if there's an agreement in writing that Iran will, take tolls. And this resolves the issue of the United States having to write a big check for reparations, which is something the Iranians are demanding. For Trump, here's a chance for him to, say he's a peacemaker. I mean, he's already said,
we'll see how that works out. But all right, let's go ahead and move on from my guy, Scott Ritter. And let's get over to Megyn Kelly. Fox News touts censorship as a way to stop terrible narratives about Trump and Israel. Yeah, I mean, bro, even the whole freedom of speech Trump is walking back on, the whole First Amendment.